Before you ever get an interview, let alone get the job, most employers require job seekers to fill out lengthy application forms. But why? What are they looking for? What's it all about? Don't get discouraged. You can be successful if you have the right information and know how to use it. That's what this video is all about. By the time we're finished here, you will know why employers use application forms, the types of information they want to know, problems to avoid when completing applications, and how to increase your chances of getting the job you want. So let's start filling in the blanks on the complete job application. Why do employers use application forms? Well, there are many reasons. For one thing, an application tells the employer about you, your work history, your educational background, and the type of work you're looking for. Employers use this information to see if you're the right person for the job that they're trying to fill. Applications are used as a screening device. Let's say an employer has 3 positions to fill and 150 people have applied. It takes less time to sift through 150 job applications than to talk to 150 candidates. By looking at the applications, an employer can quickly spot the ways each job seeker may be unsuitable for the job. So applications are a quick way for an employer to eliminate all but the most qualified job candidates. Remember, the employer's goal is to find a worker who can do the job, is reliable, can be trusted, and will work hard. Does this sound like you? If so, take some advice from my friend Gary. He's been learning the hard way.
So Gary, how's your job search going?
Not too well. No interviews yet, and I had a really terrible experience a couple of weeks ago.
What happened?
Well, I was walking by some stores and I saw a help wanted sign in one of the windows. Okay, it's not what I want to do with the rest of my life, but I need a summer job.
It doesn't sound too bad. Did you apply?
Oh, yes. Hi.
Hello. Can I help you?
Yeah, I'd like to apply for the job you have advertised in the window.
Okay. I have an application right here. You can use the office in the back.
All right, thanks. Oh, gee, I guess I don't have a pen. Can I use one of yours?
Sure.
How you doing?
Hi.
Name, address, education, previous work experience, military service, references. Are you kidding me? How am I supposed to know the address of my high school or the phone number of the guy I worked for 3 years ago? That's when I noticed he was filling out the same application form. He was the competition, and he looked so calm, so together. He had a notebook and kept referring to it as he filled in the application. Names, addresses, dates, and phone numbers. He had them all right there in the notebook. And he was well dressed. At first I thought he was one of the salespeople. He looked like he fit right in with them. All of a sudden I felt stupid for being there.
Doesn't sound like a very good experience.
Well, I finished the application, but it was full of all these blank spaces where I didn't know the information. And I had all these parts crossed out where I had made mistakes. After what seemed like forever, I finally finished. I took it up to the desk, I gave it to the lady. She just said, "Thank you," like she couldn't wait for me to get out of there. It was humiliating.
It couldn't have been that bad. You must be exaggerating.
I don't think so. Besides, it's been 2 weeks and I haven't heard anything.
Well, listen, I've got to get to class, but keep me posted. I'm sure you'll do better next time.
Gary survived the experience and he lived to tell about it, but he didn't get the job, which is proof positive that appearances do count. First impressions go a long way when employers are deciding who to hire and who not to hire. The way you look can make a big difference. If you're dressed poorly, an employer probably won't give you a second thought, even if you're qualified for the job. The way your application looks can make a big difference too. If the writing is sloppy, if there are lots of blank spaces or crossed out sections, your application will be screened out, and you'll never get a chance to tell the employer why you're perfect for the job. But what happened to Gary doesn't have to happen to you. There are simple steps you can take to give your application the best chance of getting you the job. First, read and follow the directions carefully. Don't leave anything blank. Write NA for not applicable if something doesn't apply to you. Be neat. Use an erasable black pen or neatly cross out mistakes. Be prepared. Have names, addresses, dates, and other information you'll need to complete the application. A lot of people keep this data handy in a small notebook or daily planner. Look for ways to add positive information about yourself. Avoid giving negative information about yourself. As you can see, one of the most important steps is showing yourself in a positive light. It takes a little forethought to do that in an application. You have to know your strengths. What do you do well? Take a look at this list of words and write down the ones that apply to you.
Okay, I arranged the sale for the Labor Day sale at Johnson's. I coordinated the schedule for part-time workers. I evaluated the summer high school intern. I walked around in a chicken suit promoting Easter Day sales, and I helped select the new logo for the soccer team.
Do you get the picture? I'm sure you can use some of these words to describe the skills and experience you've gained at school, on the job, and through your hobbies and interests. You can probably think of many more words, too. If you get stuck, ask someone to help you, a teacher, a boss, a friend. You know yourself better than anyone, but sometimes other people can be more objective.
Hey, Gary. So have you recovered from your job search experience yet?
Thanks for reminding me, Ellen. No, actually, I've decided to never go through that again, so I'm gathering some information together, like the notebook the guy had at the job, except I'm doing it on my computer.
Sounds like a great idea.
Yeah, and I've collected some different applications, so I'll know what information to include. You want to do one too?
Well, okay, I guess it would help me find a job.
Great.
Applications often start by asking for contact information, your name, address, and phone number. If you're not home during the day, you may want to include a second number where you can be reached or where an employer can leave a message. In this day and age, you may be asked to include your email address. And almost all applications want your Social Security number. In some cases, you may need to include previous addresses and the number of years you lived there.
Okay, let's see. I've lived on Johnson Street for 2 years, and before that I lived on Balin Avenue.
Okay, these next questions ask if I'm a citizen of this country, what hours I want to work, and what position I'm applying for.
As you're gathering the information you'll need to fill out the application forms, don't overlook the details. First, if you're not a United States citizen, be ready to show legal papers that allow you to live and work in this country. Second, when an application asks what position you're applying for, don't leave it blank, even if you don't know the exact title or nature of the job. Instead, write something general, like retail worker. This at least shows that you have some idea of the kind of work you want to do. Finally, you should fill out an application with a clear idea of the hours you're available. Do you want to work part-time or full-time, weekends, nights, or days? Can you work overtime? And one last tip. If you can work nights or weekends, you might have an advantage over someone who can only work days.
This next question asks the pay or salary that I want.
I think I've heard it's best to write negotiable. You don't want to ask for too little, and you don't want to be screened out because you asked for too much.
Yeah, I heard that too. And you should wait to discuss pay until after they offer you the job. Okay, this next set of questions is date of birth, sex, height, weight, and marital status.
The so-called vital statistics. Okay.
You may run across applications with these questions, but they usually aren't asked anymore because it's illegal for employers to discriminate based on these factors. You aren't required to give the requested information, but you can if you want to. If you'd rather not answer or think that an employer will screen you out based on your answers, write NA for not applicable. The only exception to this is based on child labor laws. These laws limit the number of hours and types of work teenagers are allowed to do. Some jobs require you to be 21 or older. So it is legal for applications to ask if you're at least 16 years old or 21 years old.
This next question asks how many dependents I have and whether I'm bonded.
Well, dependents are children or elderly parents who depend on your income for support. Thank goodness we don't have those responsibilities yet.
No kidding. I guess employers need this information for tax purposes. But what does it mean to be bonded?
Well, my dad is bonded. He's an electrician, so I think it's special insurance for people who have to go into other customers' homes or who handle money.
Well, I guess if we were bonded, we'd know it. I was looking ahead, and there's some other questions here that seem touchy.
What are they?
Have you ever been arrested? Do you have any physical or emotional limitations? Have you had any serious illness or injuries?
Well, I don't have any of those problems, but what if I did? My application would be screened out right away.
I know. This thing happens to people all the time. What are they supposed to do?
These are more examples of questions that usually aren't found on applications anymore because there are laws protecting your employment rights. Let's take them one at a time. First, it is legal to ask if you've ever been convicted of a felony, which is a major crime. But you don't ever have to disclose if you've simply been arrested or if you've been convicted of a crime other than a felony. If you were a minor when you were arrested and/or convicted, you don't have to mention either of these things. So, if you have been convicted of a felony, be prepared to discuss it in the interview. If you haven't been convicted of a felony, simply write NA for not applicable. The next question: do you have any physical or emotional limitations in doing the job you're applying for? Remember, if you can do the job, an employer is not allowed to discriminate based on a disability. A disability only matters if it prevents you from doing the job you're applying for. Therefore, your answer to this question should be none, or none that will interfere with my ability to perform the job. If you do have a disability, you should be aware of your own capabilities and any reasonable accommodations an employer can make that would allow you to do the job. But you should also be aware of your limitations and not apply for jobs you can't do or jobs that would require extremely expensive or extensive accommodations for you to do. Finally, the last question: have you had any serious illness or injury in the past 5 years? Unless you've missed more than 2 straight weeks of work due to an illness or injury, write no. If you've had a serious illness or injury in the past, but it's no longer affecting you, write none that will interfere with my ability to do the job. If you have a serious illness or injury that is affecting you now or may recur in the future, leave this question blank, but be prepared to discuss it in the interview. With all these questions, remember, be honest, but don't let your answers get you screened out in the application stage.
The next questions on this application ask about my work history, both paid and unpaid.
Yeah, this wants me to list my skills, accomplishments, results, equipment used, new skills learned, training, people I trained or supervised, and lots of other details. Wow, this is going to take some time.
Hey, this one asks why I left my previous job. That's easy. It was super boring, and my boss was
I know what you mean, but I don't think that's the type of answer they're looking for.
I know.
The work history section of an application form gives you a great opportunity to sell yourself to potential employers. Sure, you need to include the facts about your work history, the names, street addresses, phone numbers, and email addresses of previous employers, and you'll need to record your job title and the dates of your employment. But after that, you get to describe your duties and responsibilities. And this is where you can really shine. So be sure to list the most important things you did on each job, using lots of action words. And if you were voted Worker of the Month or anything like that, be sure to include it. Applications usually ask for permission to contact your previous employers. If for whatever reason you know your boss won't give you a good recommendation, find someone else at that organization who will, and put his or her name and number on the application.
The next section is on education and training. It asks for the names, addresses, and phone numbers of the schools I've attended, the last grade I completed, any special skills, training, or honors I received, my grade point average, and whether I graduated.
Did you know that even if you didn't graduate from high school, you can answer yes if you've earned your GED? Now, education and training is another big section on job application forms, and another area where you can sell yourself to employers. After you've listed the basic facts, be sure to include information that shows you in a positive light. Describe courses you've taken and how they relate to your career goals. List any awards or special recognition you've received. And be sure to include activities, clubs, or organizations that you were involved in. One more tip. Under this section, it's important to record other types of education and training you've received. This can include workshops, seminars, formal on-the-job training. Everything counts.
Wow, my notebook is getting really full. I guess I have more to offer an employer than I thought.
But don't let it go to your head. The next section is military service. I guess this doesn't apply to us, but wow, look how long it is.
Ellen and Gary don't have any military service to report, but many people do. This section on an application form can get quite detailed because it's just as important as any other type of work experience. Employers want to know what branch of service you are in, your rank, dates of service, and duties performed. They also want to know about any special duties or responsibilities, salary, and promotion. If you were promoted, be prepared to explain why. Was it your outstanding job performance, a superior rating, a successful training exercise? Be sure to list any special skills, education, training, or awards you achieved in the military. The final section of an application form usually asks for references. This includes work-related references, such as former supervisors, school-related references, such as former teachers, and personal references, such as a former soccer coach, club advisor, or neighbor. Be sure to choose people who will say good things about you, and be sure to ask the person for permission before using him or her as a reference. Have the following information ready to put on a job application: the reference's name, street address, phone number, and email address, and the nature of his or her relationship with you.
Thanks, Coach. I really appreciate being able to use you as a reference on these forms. Okay, see you then. Well, that's it. I guess we answered all the questions on these forms.
And we've been at it all afternoon. Let's get some dinner.
Good idea.
Well, it looks like Gary and Ellen have got what it takes to fill out a job application. How about you? Do you think you can follow the 3 basic rules for success? 1, be as complete and as neat as possible. Neatness makes a positive impression. It shows that you pay attention to details, are careful with your work, follow directions, and are willing to make the extra effort. These traits mean a lot to employers. Also under this rule, be sure to print neatly. Use an erasable pen or cross out any errors as neatly as possible on an application. Read and follow directions carefully. Complete each section and don't leave blank spaces if possible. Rule number 2, be positive. Remember, your goal is to get a job interview. If you have problem areas, and almost everyone does, be honest. But don't include information that will screen out your application. You can always discuss problem areas in an interview as long as you get an interview. Rule number 3, be creative. Use every opportunity on the application form to present your experience, skills, and ability in the best possible light. Use strong, action-oriented words, and make every word count. Include positive things about yourself whenever possible. And one last thing. Some employers are beginning to use electronic job applications on their website. It's really no different than the paper version, except you type the information on a computer screen and click on a button to send it in. No matter what kind of application form you use, you still need to be neat, complete, positive, and creative.
Hey, Gary!
Hi, Ellen.
You look great. Where are you headed?
My new job. I just got a job at Prairie Homes. I'm the receptionist.
That's fantastic. I guess you made a really good impression.
Well, I couldn't have done it without a great application. My preparation really paid off.
Well, good luck.
Thanks. See you
Bye-bye.
later.
Before you ever get an interview, let alone get the job, most employers require job seekers to fill out lengthy application forms. But why? What are they looking for? What's it all about? Don't get discouraged. You can be successful if you have the right information and know how to use it. That's what this video is all about. By the time we're finished here, you will know why employers use application forms, the types of information they want to know, problems to avoid when completing applications, and how to increase your chances of getting the job you want. So let's start filling in the blanks on the complete job application. Why do employers use application forms? Well, there are many reasons. For one thing, an application tells the employer about you, your work history, your educational background, and the type of work you're looking for.